Many thanks for joining me today on Homo Politicos. This is Enterprise Television. Kingsley Bass is my name. So it's been months of uncertainty and factional bickering within the People's Democratic Party. Well, just yesterday, they may finally be stepping back from the brink. It's a landmark 100th National Executive Committee meeting again yesterday, June 30, 2025. The party resolved one of its most decisive issues by reinstating Senator Samuel Anyanwu as National Secretary, a position at the heart of the PDP's internal crisis since the 2023 presidential defeat. Acting National Chairman Ambassador Omar Damagum confirmed the reinstatement and took aim, if you like, at what he called detractors, reaffirming the PDP's institutional resilience. But behind the public show of unity, tensions still simmer. Reports from inside the closed-door meeting point to deep dissatisfaction among some National Working Committee members who felt excluded from key decisions. Well, the PDP set its sights on a national convention with no date yet announced. Questions remain: has the party truly turned the corner? Has the party truly turned the corner? Or is this simply a temporary pause in a deeper struggle for control? Let's get talking today. I'm joined by lawyer and member of the People's Democratic Party, Ilemona Onoja. He joins me virtually today. Many thanks for joining me today. Appreciate that. Let me get your immediate thought on what happened, what transpired at the 100th National Working Committee meeting yesterday, where, coming from that meeting, for the first time, we see what appears to be smiles and a point where the party has now said it's been restored unity, or this is the beginning of restoration and unity for the party. Is that the case? What do you think?
I think that rather than a conclusive statement that this is the restoration of unity for the party, I think that what we have achieved is that we have created the opportunity for that unity, right? The issue here has been a very knotty one. It has required quite a lot of austerity to achieve. And yes, although it is no longer bubbling over the surface, we can reasonably say that tensions simmer just underneath. However, this is in keeping with the rich history of familial disagreements, of contentious debate within the People's Democratic Party. Over the course of its existence, this is what we do. We disagree. And then we find middle ground that accommodates the interests of the various stakeholders in the party for the benefit of the Nigerian people. So I think that we have, again, placed ourselves on that, on that path, a pathway to finding lasting peace, unity, and cohesion. The party has been in need of this sort of thing for a long time. The election, you know that the national chairman has been an acting national chairman now for going on 2 years. The national committee, the national working committee, as a result, has felt a little bit fractured because there hasn't been a substantive national chairman. It has stopped us from providing a, direction, if you will, for the party, and has, also hampered our efforts to rebuild and repurpose the party. Be that as it may, we know that in the next few months, anyway, the tenure of the current national leadership of the party, and indeed of the party across the country, of the state working committees and, working committees at various levels, will come to an end in about 3-4 months anyway. So we realize that that national convention will be like a nadir, in that it offers the party an opportunity for a fresh start. But it also says that before we can achieve that fresh start, we have to do the things that are required between now and then. We have to act legally in compliance with our party constitution, in compliance with the Electoral Act, and other substantive legislation. to make sure that we convene a national convention where obviously there will be competing interests, but at the end of which we'll be able to say that we have, properly repurposed and refitted the party for the future.
Yeah, Lemona, there are rumors of some dissatisfied members of the National Executive Committee. What do you know? What can you say? Those who still were not satisfied with what happened yesterday. We know that at some point there was supposed to be the expanded caucus meeting. In fact, some opposition members, other members of other parties, and indeed some Nigerians still laugh at your party, saying, what was that show? Some tag that show of shame with the police presence and the dismissal of some, big party members and the rough handling we saw yesterday as well. What do you know? What can you say about that?
I think that the show of shame is more a reflection on the APC than it is on the PDP.
How so, though?
I will say, I was about to explain.
Okay.
Because the APC controls the police. This is the Nigerian police force. The PDP doesn't give instructions to the IG. The PDP doesn't give instructions to the Commissioner of Police for the FCT, from where the policemen were deployed. And if there is a deployment of policemen to the National Secretariat of another party, ostensibly to disrupt the smooth conduct of proceedings, then it is more a reflection on the APC than it is on the PDP. On the PDP side of that fence, of course, like I said in my opening statement, we haven't achieved peace. We have created the opportunity to achieve peace. Over the course of the next few days, competing interests, competing contenders, stakeholders with diverse opinions, there will be ongoing consultation. There will be pacification where there needs to be pacification. There will be, like my former boss and my political mentor, Dr. Bukola Saraki said, there will be continuous sacrifices and concessions on all sides. So it isn't uhuru yet, but it is a chance for uhuru. Anybody who expects that having had a protracted disagreement over, contentious issues such as the national secretaryship of the political party, and expects that it will be resolved, overnight, doesn't know, much about Nigerian politics or about political administration. Our expectation is that, a few people will be upset still, but that, continuous efforts will be made to reach out to those people, to hear their grouses, and then to make concessions and sacrifices where necessary, while demanding from them their ongoing commitment to the political party. I will tell you something, is that people still feel this passionately about the party, that people still feel this strongly about the party, is a sign of a deep-seated, long-lasting to the party in the first place. And that is what the party requires at this time. A group of people who are committed to it, who are committed to its ideals, who are committed to its ideology, who are committed to repurposing it to serve the best interest of the Nigerian public. So I don't worry too much about the continuous existence of those disagreements. I believe that there are disagreements that can and will be resolved one way or the other.
All right.
Either they will be resolved because people will remain committed to the political party, or indeed that some people may choose that they want to leave. If they so choose to leave, well, those of us who are remaining here will continue to spread the message of the party to the Nigerian people. One way or the other, you know how they say, soldier go, soldier come, barracks go remain.
Yeah, let's talk about some of these factions that still exist. I hear what you say. You said that, maybe twice now, the fact that this is just the start point to lasting peace, possible lasting peace in the party. But let's talk about, some opposing sides, and these opposing sides are led by top political figures. The governor of your state, Seyi Makinde, is said to be on one side, Bala Mohammed, the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, on another side. What does that say? What does that say about, the the move towards ensuring that the party and members of the party come together, to ensure that the party stays united and strong ahead of 2027. What do you know about this, so to say, rifts and this opposing sides, and how do you think this can be resolved to ensure that the PDP poses good opposition come 2027?
If you are aware that governors Bala Mohammed and Sheyi Makinde, along with other governors, were in a meeting before they came to the NEC meeting yesterday. It was from there that there were concessions that were given to each other, there were discussions that were had, and then recommendations were taken from that meeting into the expanded NEC or caucus meeting, whatever you call it. You will also recall that Governor Sheyi Makinde, right, Governor Bala Mohammed, and then other governors, as well as the Senate Minority Leader, the House Minority Leader, the Secretary of the BOT, and the National Organizing Secretary, were all part of a delegation led by the acting national chairman, and then Dr. Bukola Saraki, to INEC, where they said, we have legal issues from your perspective as the electoral umpire and the administrator of the primary administrator of the Electoral Act. What is your observation about our national issues? Where INEC told them, well, the Electoral Act stipulates that these are the manners, we will be notified of your meetings, such as your NEC meeting, and so on and so forth. And where the leadership came away with the understanding that unless certain things were done, any attempt to change the national secretary may put the party in a situation where we might not have candidates at the 2027 primary at the 2027 general elections, right? And we all recall the situation in Plateau where, even though that was a very wishy-washy application of the law, where the existence of a contentious situation in the Plateau State chapter was used as an excuse to deprive and deny the members of the Senate, the members of the House of Representatives, and members of the State Houses of Assembly of their electoral victories. And so it all came to the conclusion where we have a 3-step plan. Sort out the issue of the national secretary, inform the electoral umpire, INEC, properly of when our national convention will be. I think a date has been decided for the 23rd of June. And then go to for when the NEC will be, and then at the NEC meeting, ratify a date for the national convention so that we can elect a substantive leader for the political party. Now, I gave that background to say, even in the achievement of the objective yesterday, these stakeholders, Governor Sheyi Makinde, Governor Bala Mohammed, and a few other governors, were all consulted. Concessions were given, sacrifices were made, which is the reason why that ratification of Sam Anyanwu as the national secretary of the party was announced. There will still be further discussions and so on and so forth, and consultations going into the future.
Yeah.
But I know that they were all consulted and their inputs were taken, sacrifices were made by all sides so that we can then proceed.
All right. Well, June 20th, July, we're in the month of July already. Let's do June. June 30 was a critical date for the party to take that decision to reinstate Samuel Anyanwu as the secretary. But July 23 has been set for the next NEC meeting. What sort of decisions, what sort of resolutions do you expect from that meeting to consolidate what was agreed June 30?
We will have at that meeting, right, a decision regarding when our national convention will be. The National Convention Organizing Committee will be established. They will be given terms of reference. They might even be given, other things, a budget, a location for the National Executive Committee meeting, and so on and so forth. All these things will be discussed at that meeting. There will also be other discussions relating to a few other issues. We have issues in quite a number of states of the Federation that have been allowed to linger. Such as I know that there are pending issues in maybe the Borno State chapter, in the Plateau State chapter, in Ogun State, perhaps maybe even in Nasarawa, and so on and so forth. The idea would be to take all these things into consideration and see ways that we can resolve them. There might even be proper welcoming of a few defectors from the Labour ruling party and from other political parties into the fold. So there will be quite a number of things to consider at that time.
You're saying that some persons would move, defect from the ruling.
I said might.
Oh, okay. I thought you were confirming defections.
I can tell you that there are discussions that are going on. Politicians like to talk. I can tell you that there are discussions that are going on. But we all know that 23 days is a long time in Nigerian politics.
Definitely.
Let's see how it plays out.
Definitely. Well, let's talk about how this affects 2027, yeah? Just before we let you go. We know there are talks of the coalition and the rest. Your presidential candidate in the 2023 general election, Atiku Abubakar, and former vice president, seem to be leading that coalition alongside some other top political figures, national political figures. Do you think that with the PDP, doing all of this to ensure that they put the House is set and ready to go for 2027, that could maybe get those individuals to return to the PDP, the likes of Atiku Abubakar, return home and maybe look within to contest rather than use another platform? There are rumors that July 2, Wednesday, July 2, is the critical date to announce a platform for the coalition.
I don't know about those rumors. What I do know is that politicians like to talk, right? And there's consultation is a never-ending exercise in Nigeria. We're in politics globally. I know that for quite a number of people, the best proposition will be to pull the opposition, or as much of the opposition as possible, under the unifying umbrella of the People's Democratic Party. Long have we existed, long have we built a party structure across the country that can be relied upon. Long have we built, relatability to the Nigerian people, where there's a consideration that these sorts of things should not just be, thrown out the window willy-nilly. And so I know for a lot of people, the preferred option is let us all coalesce under the unifying umbrella of the People's Democratic Party. I don't know much about what the decisions that might be announced tomorrow may be. I truly don't know. And I just stay where I am, at the moment, where the consideration is, to the best of my knowledge, there are conversations going on. Can the PDP fix itself before the 2027 elections? Can we ensure that we're smooth? Because before you can have an electoral victory, you have to have a political party that can deliver on that electoral victory. And so, rather than going to rebuild the wheel, the supposition for a lot of people is, why don't we just fix what we have, as it is faulty rather than damaged beyond repair. So that's where we are.
While you speak, I was wondering, let's say those who have decided to, the likes of Atiku Abubakar and the rest, decide not to return to the PDP. The PDP fixes things and ready to...
The way you say decide not to return to the PDP, you're saying that it is already left. He hasn't announced that he has left the party.
Oh, well, he's not defected. He's not defected, but obviously it doesn't look like he's going to be contesting under the PDP.
He's what the Atiku Abubakar is saying thus far is we need to build the opposition under one platform. We need to bring as much of the opposition together under one platform. He's never made publicly any comments about leaving the PDP. So if the PDP can fix itself, why not be that platform? That's the consideration. The consideration is one platform. It isn't leave the PDP.
Again, hypothesis, right? Hypothetically, if he doesn't return or decide rather not to contest with the PDP, under the PDP, using the PDP flag, I'm just wondering, who will the party be fronting for 2027 presidency?
I have no idea. I think that is way, at the moment, it is too far away to have that conversation. I have no idea. I think that instead we should be speaking about two things. One, how do we, and it is in the best interest of not all Nigerians that the PDP is fixed as a viable opposition party. It is in our best interest. So I think that's what we should be speaking about on one hand. On the other hand, there is a present continuous failure in office. Present continuous, failed yesterday, failed today, and on their current trajectory will fail tomorrow. They have led Nigeria to being the worst that we have ever been in our national history. We're the poorest we have ever been in our national history. We are we have the least access to education and healthcare in our national history. Our naira is at its most valueless in our national history. We are the most insecure we have ever been in our national history. We are the most divided we have ever been in our national history, and so on and so forth. There is no measurement or index, or there are no indices via which development is measured in anywhere in the world that Nigeria's indicators are positive. So rather than speaking about a 2027 run, we should be impressing it on the Nigerian public here and now, and as often as possible, as eloquently as possible, as repeatedly as possible, how the ongoing failure, ineptitude, insensitivity, incompetence of the Bola Tinubu-led APC federal government is ruining our lives on a daily basis.
Talking about that,
speak about 2027 when the NBS is telling us that 614,000 people were killed in 1 year in acts of insecurity across the country, when the NBS is telling us that 2.2 million people were kidnapped in 1 year in acts of kidnapping across the country. When those are wartime numbers, Iran and Israel just had a war that lasted how long? And they did not kill 20,000 people across both nations. The Gaza-Israel conflict has been going on for the last 2 years. They have 200,000 people have not been killed.
All right.
The Sudan conflict has been going on for how many years? They have not lost 300,000 people.
Okay.
And here is our official Bureau of Statistics telling us that 614,000 people in 1 year. We shouldn't be talking about 2027 elections. We should be chasing at every level possible the government that currently leads us.
Okay, talking about that, I was going to just close with your thought on the president's visit to St. Lucia. That has attracted several thoughts, and it's drawn criticism, especially with the president addressing the parliament there, the joint session of the parliament, saying he would grant a scholarship to students who come study in Nigeria from that region. Your final thought?
I think that the Bola Tinubu-led, APC-led federal government is quite literally the worst that this country has ever had. Quite literally. And that takes some saying, considering how bad Muhammadu Buhari was the president of this country. I think that shows, that statement shows his lack of care, his lack of concern, his lack of regard for the Nigerian people. As we speak, as he was making that statement, his own students in his backyard, in the capital city of the FCT, have not been in school for several months. His own backyard, he lives in the FCT. Secondary school students in the FCT have not been in school for several months. Rather than resolve with your scarce national resources, resolve your issues. He's promising those scarce resources to people who are from another country. And that shows the lack of regard for his people. And it is an ongoing lack of regard. If there is a conflict in your backyard in Benue State, less than 300 kilometers away from your bedroom, where 200 people are killed, and the Pope in the Vatican is responding several days before you respond, it shows a complete... His statements in St. Lucia just compound his lack of regard for the lives, welfare, and well-being of the Nigerian people. It's an atrocious federal government. And I think that we must be united in a commonality of purpose to ensure that that government does not stay in office one day longer than May 29, 2022.
Limona Onoja, I'd like to thank you so much for your time. Limona Onoja is a lawyer and member of the People's Democratic Party. He's been talking to me about the decision of the People's Democratic Party, June 30, historic day for some persons, Monday, June 30, to take the step in another direction, the direction that Onoja has said hopefully is a beginning, the start points to lasting peace in the PDP. Limona, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you.
Well, as always, thank you very much for having me.
Appreciate that. All right, that's Homo Politicos today. We'll continue to monitor political development in the country and bring those your way. You can stop by the comment section. Let me know what you think and what you make of these conversations. My guests and his thoughts too of the incumbent government of President Bola Tinubu. He says, considering the metrics used in measuring the immediate past of President Muhammadu Buhari, former President Muhammadu Buhari, that the Bola Tinubu administration is not doing well and below par. What do you think? Stop by the comment section. Let me know. It's been Homo Politicos on Enterprise Television. Kingsley Bass is my name. Until next time, God continue to bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Bye for now.